If you're a driven individual who's in the traditional job force, I can likely predict what it is that you want to do. You want to get yourself into a leadership position as fast as possible, whether or not that is something like a technical lead or a manager of people. I say this because I myself have that goal. However, the reality of this is that in order to reach a leadership position, you have to demonstrate that you are capable of leadership. Now you might ask, well, if I'm not in a leadership position, how can I lead anyone? That's a good question, which is going to bring us to the topic of today's video. In today's video, I'll be discussing how you can practice leadership even if you are not in a traditional leadership position. Developing these skills early on in your career are going to help to propel you along and move you towards that career path that you want. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Tyler Warlow and I go by the Mengineer. I make videos on how to improve your life through your confidence, capabilities, and overall happiness. One of the first things that you should always aim to do as a leader is lead by example. Think about the different people that you've worked for or the people that you've worked with. What is it about them that you respect the most? In my opinion, I always respected the leadership that never asked me to do something that I knew they wouldn't do themselves. When you're the type of leader who forces people to do things simply because it is their job or they have to earn their keep, so to say, then people really aren't going to want to do that work for you. There's a difference between people wanting to work with you and people working for you. Generally speaking, a good leader is someone who inspires others to want to work with them. And one of the best ways you can do that is by leading by example. So if you're asking your employees to stay late, then you yourself should also be staying late. If you are expecting certain levels of work out of your employees, you yourself should also be held to that same standard. If you're holding yourself to a different standard than your peers, then no one's really gonna want to work with you. By being consistent and doing the same thing that you ask of others, that will make them view you as more reliable and honest and want to continue working with you. Next up, I know this is gonna sound a little cliche, but make sure that you maintain a good attitude. How you present yourself does influence other people in the room. If you are surrounded by people who are negative, then you are likely to have your mood brought down. But if you're surrounded by people who try to bring an air of positivity and optimism to the room, then it's likely to boost your own mood. That's not to say that you should be falsely positive, but you should aim to always try and push your employees to look on the bright side of things. By maintaining a positive attitude, even in situations that might be a little bit more bleak, you're going to help inspire others to do the same. And when people have good moods and good attitudes, it helps to boost productivity and efficiency of everyone and helps just inspire everyone to move forward and work together. Typically, when you start to see work efficiency and quality drop, you'll also start to notice that the moods and motivations of the employees are also dropping. Toxic behavior can really create a snowball effect really quickly, so you need to nip it in the bud. If you notice someone who's constantly complaining or whining about the work situation, then you should talk with them and try to see what is it that's really bothering them. And if they're the type of person that just is complaining to complaining, then you might want to evaluate if that is someone that you regularly want to be around. Emulate what you would like to see from other people, like I said in my first point. Having that positive attitude is going to inspire others to bring the same to the table, which as a whole is just going to improve the culture of your workforce. Next, make sure that you are taking ownership of your deliverables. Yeah, you might be fairly low on the totem pole, but make sure that you are actually taking responsibility for the things that you are assigned. A lot of times what you'll see from people is that they'll be assigned something, but they'll constantly blame other people for why it wasn't completed by a certain time. You need to take ownership and recognize where you might have had shortfalls and be honest with your own leadership on those things. When you have those honest conversations with your leadership about your deliverables and what it is exactly that you did right/wrong, they're going to develop a higher level of respect for you because they're going to see that you truly care about the work that you're doing and that you're not just simply trying to make yourself look good. There are tons of situations where people only take credit for the good things that happen and then they try to blame it on someone else when something bad happens. Leadership notices this kind of thing. So if you take that responsibility and ownership of your deliverables, your leadership will notice that over time. And that's typically what they want out of a leader. They want a leader who's going to take that responsibility and not blame their team when things go wrong. This also goes without saying, but make sure that you are more often than not meeting your deliverables. People will begin to associate you with reliability. So when you say that you're going to do something, you actually do it. And so people know that you are someone they can trust to get the job done. Next up, take any opportunity you can to engage in mentorship opportunities. This is a two-way street. You should take any opportunity you can to mentor others, but also look for opportunities to learn from other people. When other people are having difficulty understanding something and you can help them, you should seek to help them. A rising tide raises all ships. So if you help this person do better, generally speaking, it's going to help the whole team do better. So people notice and appreciate when you freely give that help. People also notice if you don't help them out or you're not really willing to. You'll begin to develop a type of reputation based on how you respond to when people ask for help. There will also be opportunities like leadership events or mentorship events, depending on your company, where you can take the time to speak with younger people and pass off any of the knowledge that you learned. This can be anything related from career advice to life and work-life balance. Generally speaking, if you have a younger professional or sometimes even an older professional who might be new to the industry come to ask you questions, take that opportunity to teach them what you know. They will appreciate it and they will remember the effort on your part. Now on your side, you need to be taking advantage of mentors in your own life. One of the best pieces of advice that I ever got was look for people who are doing what you want to do and try to emulate and learn from them. You don't necessarily have to ask someone to be a mentor for them to be a mentor in your life. A lot of times people don't have the time to be what's traditionally considered a mentor, where you're meeting with them regularly and asking them questions and they're teaching you things. Sometimes you just need to take the time to reach out to them and ask them different questions, maybe when you're having lunch together, and just take the opportunity to learn anything that you can from them. A lot of times leadership will be more than willing to tell you stories and how they handled different situations. And it's a great opportunity to see what people have done in your own position. But what about y'all? Do you guys have any mentors in your life? If so, what is something that you learned from them that you think would be great advice for anyone to know? Let us know with a comment down below. I like to read and respond to all of them. The next thing that a good leader is going to do is develop their own skills. Now there are two types of skills here. There are hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills is the knowledge of what you're working on and how it works. A lot of times this is called technical knowledge. By taking the time to learn about the different things that you're working on, it's going to help you to create a better understanding of how everything interconnects. One added benefit of this is by taking the time to really understand different things like how long it takes to do the work, the different moving pieces that are involved, is that it's going to help you to connect with your employees if you do end up in an actual leadership position, because you'll have a good understanding of everything that actually goes into it. You won't be putting unrealistic expectations onto them simply because you don't have experience doing the work or knowing what goes into it. Great things to pursue here is learning how your business operates, learning different technical engineering knowledge, and getting to know the different roles within your company. Next up are your soft skills. And the simplest way to say this is that these are types of skills that help you to communicate more effectively. A lot of times people use these skills to build interpersonal connections. This is what people who regularly network get the opportunity to practice and employ pretty much every day. By learning how to easily talk and have conversations with others, you're going to develop so many different opportunities. It's going to lead to better business opportunities, better connections, and it will also allow you to more effectively communicate with your team and inspire others. If you're the type of person who can't really communicate with your team, then it's going to be hard for them to want to work with you, because a lot of times people want to have some level of connection. It's also important to be aware of your different teammates' different styles of communicating, because what might work for one person won't work for another. Not every person is the same, so you need to learn what works best with every type of person and genuinely try to get to know them. Next up, a good leader is always going to recognize other people for their hard work. Like I said earlier, a rising tide raises all ships. If you see someone who's done a good job, make sure that you give them some sort of recognition, even if they are someone who's lower than you or who might be vying for a position that is similar to yours. Don't ever take the time to tear other people down. People remember when you go against them, and on top of that, it's just not a good look for you. If you are really someone who is capable of leadership and deserves the position, then you wouldn't really feel the need to bring someone else down. If you feel the need to bring someone else down, it is likely because of your own insecurities and because you recognize that they actually might be a better fit for the job. So make sure that you are taking the time to recognize your peers as well as your leadership when they do a really great job. I like to make sure that I am honest with my leadership about when I think they did a good job communicating something to us, so that way they know to keep doing it. And finally, a good leader will always be open to feedback. When you first start off in your career, there is going to be a lot for you to learn. You are going to mess up along the way, but that is going to be okay. If you have a healthy culture in your company is going to give you feedback, and you should be open to listening to that feedback, because a lot of times it's going to help you learn where your weaknesses are in ways that you might not have considered before. The best leaders are often those that can acknowledge and learn from their mistakes. Take the advice of your mentors to heart. And one thing that's important to think about is it's highly unlikely that your managers want to see you fail. If you fail, then you bring the business down. So they really want to see you succeed. So when they're giving you feedback, they are trying to help raise you up. But it is important to you that you actually listen and take that feedback and try to apply it to what you do in the future. A good leader is going to be able to do that, and they'll demonstrate that early on in their career through conversations with their own leadership. But once you move into more of an actual leadership position, you also need to be open to feedback from your peers and the people who you are over. If you are doing something poor as a leader and don't recognize it, and you don't listen to your employees when they tell you about it, then you are not a good leader. But that's gonna bring us to the end of today's video, y'all. If you found the information in today's video to be helpful or informative at all, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to join me along in this self-improvement journey. If you have any of your own thoughts, ideas, or opinions, please be sure to let me know with a comment down below. I like to read and respond to all of them. If you're interested in more videos where I talk about career-related topics, be sure to check out this video right here where I talk about finding a career that you love. But if you're more interested in more of my most recent videos, be sure to check out this video right here. But until the next time, this is the Mengineer, signing off.